All right. Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in to Perry Live with Ron Drake. We're excited that you're here today. Sorry we've missed a couple of weeks, but you know, that just happens sometimes. Life gets in the way, and vacations get in the way.
Definitely vacations for some.
For some, right? But we're glad you're tuning in today. And so the idea behind Perry Live is that we can talk with interesting people that live here in Perry and get some real life situational things that are happening, and also just kind of educate you, the viewer, on a lot of things that are going on, and not so much things that are even happening, but how we can even encourage,
Definitely.
Further development, further things to happen in Perry. So I'm really excited about this one, Christina.
I am too. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So today I have Christina Morrill on the show with us today, and just thankful that you're here today.
Happy to be here, Ron.
We tried to do this a couple of weeks ago, and there was an illness with one of the ones involved in the show. It takes many people to put this together, and if somebody can't make it or whatever, then hey,
tis the season.
Tis the season, right? The flu season. Tis was the flu season.
Yes, definitely.
So part of the reason why I'm excited about having you on the show is, as you know, my wife, who's also named Christina, so it's going to be easy for me to remember her name throughout. I'm not going to get tongue-tied on this one. She's a realtor as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's a managing broker for Coldwell Banker in Siloam Springs. Mm-hmm. And so part of every consultation that I do when I travel all over the country, and when I do especially my 3-day consultations, or I'm really trying to dig into the real estate, vibe. Yeah. I'm really trying to dig into the community, whatever. I love to talk with realtors.
Right.
So you guys have a really good pulse on the community.
Yes.
So before we go there, tell me just a little bit about yourself and living here in Perry and all that.
Okay. I've been in Perry about 25 years.
Oh, okay.
Married to Mike Morrill.
Uh-huh.
We have 2 teenage boys.
Okay. Oof, I bet that's
14
a
and 16. That's probably one of my hardest jobs that there is. So I said every former teenage parent.
Yeah.
And then Mike has children, and from a previous marriage, 3 adult children, and 7 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchildren.
7 grandchildren.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So all of that keeps you pretty busy.
It keeps us very busy. We love it.
Yeah.
So he's been here 10 years, really from the other Maroons in Blackwell.
Oh, that's right.
It's where he was from, but he came and was welcomed with open arms and has loved it ever since.
Yeah. Well, so you guys are obviously really rooted in the community.
Definitely.
And Mike being a city council member.
Yes.
So adds a whole nother element.
Definitely.
What's that like? What's that like being married to a city council member?
I mean, I really enjoy it because I can, I always followed the city agenda and watched city council meetings prior just to stay abreast on what was going on in Perry and to have the correct information.
Yeah.
And so he was asked by Mayor Gordon Johnson to run, and he's on his 2nd term now. Okay. So we really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times people will call me for information.
You're right, because as usual, you're probably the real boss around the house, so you know.
I don't know. Right, Mike?
Right.
So, but a lot of the information they ask applies to my real estate, code, economic structures, different things. So, I always make it clear, I'm not on city council, Mike's on city council.
Right.
So, but I'm happy to do research for someone anytime they need something.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it's about being a team.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think that people that run for city council, I mean, hopefully their spouse and families, understand the complexities within that and being part of that team. And
definitely, and there's been some great things that have happened with the BMAC baseball complex. That was really important to our family, and I think things just keep improving and getting better.
Okay.
I think we've got a great team here at the city, and things just keep getting better and better. Because I deal in other towns too, and not every town has the camaraderie that they have here.
Right.
So, and it's just great communication, and our new city manager, Larry Pinnell, does a great job of communicating.
Yeah, he really does.
He's getting ready to start a new publication along with Tyson. Oh. And that's going to be coming out here pretty quick for March. So it'll be kind of everything Perry. And
all right.
get all that in one lump
keep
sum.
Keep this information going out there.
Right.
There's no secrets going on here. We're trying to show the community what's happening, and so we're thankful for that. And
Yes.
for what the newspapers, local papers doing, and so
Yes.
let's just keep this good
Yeah.
information
Right.
out there.
And shout out to Gloria Brown, Perry Daily
Yeah,
Journal, the
right.
only daily paper in Oklahoma in this small of a town.
That's right.
So that's another
Yeah.
pat on the back that we have that kind of communication, haven't been bought
Right.
out by a corporate conglomerate.
And I'm excited. I'm going to be working closer with Gloria as well. The first few months have just been kind of busy and crazy and trying to fix a lot of things going,
Right.
I really kind of felt like we haven't had enough real stories, and Gloria and I have got together, and we're gonna start
Yeah,
collaborating some
that'll be
more
great.
as well. And so I'm excited about that too.
Yeah.
She's fantastic in the papers.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Now, you guys actually became friends. I became friends with you and Mike really quickly, probably in that first 3 days.
Right.
Because we have a mutual friend, or Mike and I do.
Right.
Anyway, in Siloam Springs, Mike went to high school with one of my really good friends, longtime friends in Siloam, and one of my primary bankers. I've banked in a lot of banks, but
That's important.
Yeah, I know. So me and him, we did a lot of the downtown projects that I talk about in my book and things. Tim, my buddy, the banker there,
Right.
Tim McCord, he financed a lot of those projects. And so it's kind of cool to have that kind of mutual
Yeah.
friendship when we got here, small world, right?
Definitely.
And so anyway, I've appreciated your guys'
Yeah, it's been
friendship
great.
from the beginning.
Definitely.
So one of the things we try to do every week is a little Perry fun fact.
Yep.
And you've had plenty of time to think about
I
this
have.
now.
I have.
Okay, so what do you have for me
Okay,
this week?
I brought AIDS. This is our local, the real Perry phone book. John
Right.
Doerr produces this
Okay.
every year. Anybody can have their phone number in it. You can put a cell phone number in it. You just reach
Okay.
out to John Doerr, and you open and you have local coupons for local businesses. But the next page is 2 pages.
Okay.
Is the map of Perry.
Oh.
And my Perry fun fact is all the streets in Perry are in alphabetical order.
Right.
So basically, if you can count to 15 and go alphabetical order, you can find anywhere you need to go. So for instance, the square here is Cedar, Delaware, Elm,
Right.
Fir. So Highway
Right.
64 is Fir Street. Now you get up about to the R's and it gets a little bit jumbled, but then it goes to Wakefield and then on north. So pretty much 1 square mile. If I say, hey, go to 7th and Locust,
Right.
it should be fairly easy
Right.
to go to
That's
the corner
true.
of whatever that is. Not only is Perry in alphabetical order, but the county roads are in alphabetical order. So it starts at the bottom of the county and goes all the way to the top. And so Fir, Highway 64, is also known as John Wayne.
Okay.
So when you're giving an address or, and a lot of that was for the 911 coding. So it would make it easier for those first responders to
Right.
get to someone that needed them. So that's my Perry fun fact.
That's
and
pretty cool.
I explain that to newcomers that
Yeah.
come in because we'll be on the square and you'll see someone with their GPS out. And I'm like, no, you just need to go a block and a half that way. You don't need your
Yeah.
GPS. And along with that, there are 3 stoplights coming through town. So someone coming in from I-35, you can say, hey, you need to go down to the square, to Foster Corner Drive, go to the 3rd stoplight,
Yeah.
take a right.
Take a right. That does make it easier.
It makes it really easy.
So I've got a fun fact for you.
Okay.
See if you can answer this based upon your fun fact. Did you know that the alphabetical streets were always named? Meaning that they used to just be A, B, C.
Right. Yeah.
you
It was
knew
just
that.
just from the history long
Yeah.
ago, but then what is the common denominator
Yeah.
of Cedar, Delaware,
Right.
Elm,
I
Fir?
know. Well, I knew that. I didn't know that. I found that out because we're working with Michelle Taylor on a historic rehabilitation tax credit project.
Right.
And so, in order to apply to that to the national trust of historic places in Washington D.C. and all that, we have to provide a Sanborn map, which again is original maps. It's really cool if you get a
Right.
chance to look at a Sanborn map. And in 1904, I think the map we're using to look at that building, it's just C Street.
Right.
So I don't know exactly when they changed from C to Cedar. It might be kind of interesting. I'm
Right.
assuming maybe the early or the late teens or early 20s or something like
We
that.
have a great genealogy society here, and all of it's over there at the library. So
You know,
I bet
Yeah.
it would be pretty easy to find.
Somebody knows the answer.
Somebody
just
knows
like
it.
That. I
Right.
don't know. I don't know what it is. So I
Right.
thought that was that's
Definitely.
that's a great fun fact. I appreciate that, and thanks for bringing the
Right.
visual aid.
And these are available at the chamber, most
Yeah.
local businesses. It's easy to put one in your car.
Yeah.
Just look it up. I know everything's cell phone oriented now, and my age down will just go to that cell phone, but
Yeah.
there's really interesting information in here, and it even has the profiles on people that we've lost in the past year
Oh, okay.
that were very important to Perry, and then
Mm-hmm.
it spotlights the wrestling foundation that put in the Memorial Park.
Yeah.
And our Marines just won their 42nd
I know that's
state
great.
title,
It's
which will go in the
amazing.
National
What a-
Wrestling Hall of Fame. So
what a-
congratulations, guys.
Yeah, which it says on here, record 41. So we
Right.
already
Right.
broke that. And this is again another thing that's about Perry. It's like the daily paper. I mean, there's some
Yes.
really cool things still. That whole small town America that we
Right.
love that Perry has. And
Right.
so maybe we could even segue with that. Oh, let me throw one more shout out about this. I think I've said this before, but one of my really good friends, Mark Givens, down in El Dorado, Arkansas, used to be a professional wrestler, and he met Danny Hodge one time. And so when he saw on Facebook that I was working in Perry, going to Perry, he just kind of was half joking. Hey, is Danny Hodge still on the cover? Which he was. Well, Kayla Shrum, Main Street Director, saw that post, was nice enough to find one for me and assigned Danny Hodge
Right.
phone book. And so I took it and I sent it to my buddy Mark Givens in El Dorado, and he opens up and he puts on, he's just so excited that he got.
Of course.
So again, that's part of this whole small town,
Right.
the community that's beautiful, and we've got to
Definitely.
keep that kind of thing. I appreciate it. I was going to segue into this part of this and how it is real estate, but before I do you
Okay.
have, I always allow my guests, if you have any questions for me, this is your opportunity. If not, we'll just keep on going.
Okay. Well, I do have a question for you because
Okay.
we talk about all the positive things and how we're
Yeah.
getting our communication out. What do you think is the one thing we need to work on in the community as a whole to get us where we want to be faster?
Ooh, faster. Everybody wants it faster. We are in the age where everything should be faster, right?
Right.
Seriously, we are in this age of, if my microwave isn't heating my tea fast enough, I'm going to go get a new one because they.
Right.
Unfortunately, the downtown thing,
Right.
it just, we have to recognize it might have taken 50 years to get to the state to where we are. To try to turn it over in
Right.
1 year, 2 years, or 3 years is tough. But the cool thing, I think, that's going to make things faster is just the overall climate in the United States is we want our downtowns back.
Right.
So just because of that, I think there's been people in the sidelines waiting, just wanting and waiting and just not afraid to pull the trigger.
Right.
And so now, because maybe there's some momentum and maybe because there's someone with experience that they can,
Right.
that I think in itself is making things happen faster.
Right. And I just don't want people, we had a lot of, when you came in July and
Yeah.
everyone was so excited. Don't give up, people.
Right.
There is a group working behind the scenes weekly to keep things going. So if you haven't been asked to help yet, we want your help. So keep that momentum going. Keep watching Ron's show every week. Keep updated on the Perry Project on Facebook,
Right.
Chamber, Main Street. We're moving forward, and there's a lot of people in the background making that happen. So,
There is, and I think probably the other thing maybe to answer your question is the hardest thing to combat, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to do it again because it's so important. Restoring a community in a downtown, the hardest part is not buying the buildings and getting the loan and doing the construction. The hardest part is right up here.
Right.
Right up here. I was just talked with someone earlier today on the phone and mentioned something about a restaurant coming. First response is, that's not going to work in Perry.
Right.
Right? And so it's working in other towns, guys. It will,
Right.
without a doubt, work in Perry. So, to being it won't work into holding back and thinking, okay, if it works other places, why won't it work here?
Right.
And I think maybe after this show, we're going to even talk about more and more reasons why it will and should work here.
Well, and another thing I deal with in my real estate, what people need to realize from a business standpoint is we're in the triangle. We're in the
Right.
Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa triangle. So we have a big airport, hour and a half either way. So we're in the business corridor. And being right off I-35, we want to make us a destination city. One of the other things that I work on as well is the Camp Tandaco project out south of town on CCC Lake, which is National Historic Society. We are repurposing the equestrian trail into a walking trail, a mile round, and part of that will be handicap accessible.
Yeah.
So we want that will go on Oklahoma Tourism's website once we get that completed, and work should be started on that next month. And we want to have that done in 2 years so people can just come out in nature and take a walk. And going to install restrooms out there. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
If you haven't been, I need to take you out there.
Well, I'd like to see a
you.
little bit more about what you're doing. I have had the chance to just kind of drive around, the you know what's there, and I got out a few places and looked and walked. It is beautiful. There was a couple of times when I was here, even this fall, that I would just take the car out there and just sit for a minute and just kind of, because there's some really cool lookout spots to just kind of.
Yes, and
process.
And our local campfire organization has been here since 1956.
Oh, that's great.
It used to be Campfire Girls. It's been Campfire Boys and Girls. So
Yeah.
our family's been involved in that for about 10 years.
Fantastic.
And the original structure the history we have of when they built the original kitchen, we've got, a scratch paper with the supply list, and a bunch of dads just went out there and constructed that. It still stands today.
That's cool.
So
cool. Again, it goes back to
definitely
the
heritage.
and the type of people that are here and the culture. So talking about this and other things, and now relating it into real estate. So how important is quality of life? For example, like a revitalized downtown, or for example, the trails and things you're working on. How important is that to real estate and to real estate values and that kind of thing?
Well, when you want to promote your town, because that's what a real estate agent is we're promoting our town and we're promoting our community. It should be. It isn't always.
Yeah.
But, I want, I give people all the positives about Perry. We're the county seat. We have a full service hospital. We have a YMCA. We have 2 lakes, a fairgrounds. And one of the things about having this downtown revitalization, and all of us locals have lived with the past couple months, was Brahms was closed.
Yeah.
And they redid our Brahms, and so we had Homeland and the dollar store, and then Michelle put in Foster's with some more things, and we need more.
Yeah.
We need more local restaurants.
Right.
We need more local business, because people do want to shop local.
Right.
People do want to return to the roots of mom and pop, and we don't want to have to drive to Stillwater or Pawnee or Oklahoma City. We want to go down and see our friends, our family, hang out. And I even have people contact me because prices in Perry are, for the older homes are really about $60 a square foot. So I've had parents of college students contact me, and they buy homes here in Perry, and their children go to Stillwater to Oklahoma State University because it's $60 a square foot.
Yeah.
The same thing in Stillwater would be $100.
Right. And so that's...
And so with the new loft apartments, when you talked about that, I envisioned that we would have college students or even Stillwater folks live over here because it's so much cheaper than what it is over there.
Right. And that's exactly right.
Right.
I in one of my buildings in Siloam Springs, actually the last building I completed, I forgot what he did. He works in a hospital. I can't remember and anesthesiologist. That's what he does. That lived in Tulsa, got a job in Northwest Arkansas, and he moved into this downtown loft in small town Siloam Springs, 15,000 people, because it was as cool as anything in downtown Tulsa, but it was like a third of the cost. And so he ended up getting a job that paid was comparable. But he got to live somewhere he never dreamed he'd get to live.
Right.
And we're finding that in a lot of other small towns. If people say it won't work, but they don't know because we've never done it.
Right.
We've never done it.
Well, and in my firm, United Country Real Estate, started in Kansas City in 1925.
Okay.
We specialize in rural experiences
Yeah, yeah.
because people are wanting to go back to their roots, or they're
Yeah.
wanting out of the hustle and bustle. They don't want to be in traffic an hour and a half.
Right.
So when I bring new people in from out of the area, they fall in love with it.
Right.
And that's what I want local Perry people to know is, be aware of visitors that come in because they get waved at.
Yeah.
I had actually Michelle Taylor's house. I sold her house, and the
Okay.
new owners that came in, when they were looking at the house, had 2 or 3 neighbors just stop by to say hi.
That's great.
And their former
Yeah.
town they lived in said,
Yeah.
we were there for 4 years and never met a neighbor.
Right.
And their daughter has,
Yeah.
transitioned
that's right.
great into Perry Public Schools from a larger school. And when people come in, I was doing a showing downtown on a Sunday and had a couple from Norman that just said you can hear the birds. You don't see that in the larger cities. And, one of the favorite things I like to do is I'll bring somebody in. We had somebody in from California. You take them into the comeback.
Yeah.
And they're sold because everybody is talking,
Right.
waving.
So, okay, so with that being said, at the same time, real estate in Perry is not necessarily booming.
We have,
Right.
it's not booming because there's only so much inventory.
Oh, okay.
There's
So
only
let's
so
talk
much
about- let's
inventory,
talk about that. Yeah.
and only so much affordable inventory at any given time. So we have 1,200 people come to Perry a day to
At
work.
least.
At least.
That's just
That's
basically
what-
one company.
Right.
Okay.
Right, between Ditch Witch, Charles Machine Works, and Subside.
Okay, well,
on
that
the same
whole- yeah,
campus,
that whole
the
campus,
family, and if we had those 1,200 people in Perry, what
Yeah.
would that look like?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I think
know?
Perry's bigger than Perry thinks it is.
Right.
It's
Right.
just that you have just a tremendous amount of leakage. We call it real estate
Right.
leakage.
Right, and I hope somebody out there is listening today. We need an investor, or we need someone to donate some land, or let's put another housing addition in, affordable housing, that 90 to 110, 120,000 housing. That's what we need. And a lot of times the builders won't come in unless they can build 5 or 6 at the same time. But those are going to be the 250s, 300 houses,
Yeah.
and that's not our market here. So
And so being a developer and contractor, it is a little more difficult to build and profit
Right.
on a $120,000 house.
Right.
So I think that part of that, maybe part of that leakage could also be the fixer-uppers. So there are a lot of I drive around the just outskirts of the square, and I look at the neighborhoods, and that's really where I started. I did about 50-ish, 45 or something, I don't remember, fixer-uppers in my town, and I think again part of that idea of how can this thing happen faster and things. If we have more to do within walking distance of these
Right.
these neighborhoods,
Right.
now all of a sudden these houses that are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old
right.
are going to become extremely attractive because young families can walk and ride their bikes to the downtown
Right.
and have things to do.
Right.
These restaurants to do. The places, the ones that people say, that's not going to work here. We
No.
don't know. We haven't tried it.
Right. Well, and speaking of walking and biking, we get kind of spoiled. We just hop in our car, but
Right.
people come in, they don't mind to walk a mile or a mile and a
yeah.
half somewhere,
Right.
or with our sidewalk projects going on, and everything's within
Yeah.
walking distance, and that really is a pull to them. And those older homes have good bones.
Yeah.
You can, on the coldest day, you can go in one and it's not cold.
That's right.
And
They're much better than
they
we
are,
realize.
and we just I hope somebody out there is listening. If you want a project, or if you've been thinking
Yeah.
that I really want to invest in my community or my retirement, is buy some of these homes, because I hear a lot of, there's just so many houses for sale. Well, at any given time, there's really only about 20, 25 available
Okay.
units.
Yeah.
Because just because you might see a sign up that it may be pending,
Right.
so we're still going to leave our sign up because
Right.
a contract can fall through.
Yeah. Right. To the very last day.
So the inventory is not there, Ron, and that's what we need.
Right.
I even had a family I talked to that had 9 children between them, and pitched buy a downtown building and revamp it into living quarters, because you've already got your plumbing, you've got
That's
your
right.
electric. You're close to the school, you're close to the grocery store, the drugstore, the banks.
Yeah, and so I think that, again, what we are going to find, because we do have some projects happening and are going to get started, these downtown projects, the lofts especially, I think that's the one thing that's going to surprise people. I love surprising people, town after town after town. You would think at some point it would quit being a surprise, but it's always a surprise, because
Right.
it'll work in this town, but it won't work in my town. So I can't wait for the surprise of how cool these lofts look and how popular they become.
Right.
And so usually we got to get the first few, and then all of a sudden,
Right,
more
there's
and
a waiting
more.
list.
Yeah. Okay, we are. See, we knew. I told you we were going to go. We were
go
going to go
fast.
through this pretty fast today. Can you give me just a real quick? We've just got like 5 or 6 or so minutes left. One of the things I hear a lot when I come to every town, but I heard it a lot in Perry, and I found it not necessarily to be true. Maybe you can tell me if you agree. And that's about the poverty level. People say, but what about, Ron, have you ever worked in a town with a poverty level of Perry? No, I haven't, because most of the towns I work in have 3 times the poverty level
Right.
of Perry. So can you tell me a little bit about
I
that?
can. I as a matter of fact, on Tuesday I stopped by and visited one of my boys' favorite former principals and now our child nutrition director, Renee Roth, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
And actually, our free and reduced rate for Perry Public Schools is down.
Great.
Last year
Yeah.
it was up over 60%, and now it's down around the 56% level.
Okay.
So yes, we do have some of that, but I don't see that affecting our growth.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, let's take these families, get them on a path to buy
Yeah.
and quit renting.
Yeah.
And it is attainable. It may take some time, but let's get them on a plan to get their credit score up, get them
Right.
where they need to be, because a lot of these families, they both work, and they're paying more in rent than they could actually buy a home
That's
for their
right.
family.
That's right.
And so I think it's just the positive communication and overcoming those obstacles of that it can't be done or that's always going to drag us down. Well, why don't we reach out? And our OSU Extension did a program a couple of years ago, Bridges Out of Poverty, and it's
Yes.
a book.
Yeah.
And let's reach out and have some seminars and say, guys, it is attainable to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
And put your hard-earned money into your equity and not someone else's.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't bother me because I think
And here in Perry, you can qualify for RD loans.
definitely
without a
rural
problem.
development, USDA.
So that's oftentimes could be 100%
Yes.
financing.
Yes.
So it helps with that down
Right.
payment and that kind of thing.
a
And
lot
so-
a lot of my buyers lately have even been getting their appraisal money back.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a
So-
lot of opportunity here. So we've talked about some of that opportunity about, the only thing with the RD loans, some of the stuff we talked about earlier about the fixer-uppers and those
Right.
is more difficult, but they're still,
Right. Those are still attainable.
but then again, what that's good for, what makes me think is my developer brain is, maybe someone like me should be buying some of these fixer-uppers, get them
Right.
fixed up, and then sell them where they meet all the requirements of an RD loan.
Right.
We used to do that. We knew exactly what the requirements were.
Right.
And so then that person could come in at 100% financing
Definitely.
and get the home. And so again,
And there are
There's-
rehabilitation loans, there are construction loans.
Yeah, yeah,
there
right.
are
There's a lot. Yeah,
options
local
out
banks
there.
will help with that as well.
Right. Native American loans.
That's right.
You
So
know.
it sounds like if anybody's interested in what we're hearing, you need to reach out to Christina and she can help you with that. Okay, so we'll do this again. We'll do this again. We'll talk some more about this, and
Yeah.
maybe because we're going through this pretty quickly today. So I've got 3 questions for you. This
Okay.
is an opportunity to win a Perry Live
Okay.
with Ron Drake mug. So question number 1, if you had 6 months with no obligations, okay, you have no financial constraints, how would you spend that time? What would you do?
Well, that's a tough question because my heart is to volunteer.
Uh-huh.
I'd really want to see that Tandaco project go through
Oh.
if I could just devote all my time to that.
That would be cool.
And then from a leisurely standpoint, Mike really wants to go to Alaska. I want to go to the Caribbean, so I'd like to spend
I'll go
half
with
and
you,
half.
Mike.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but,
more of a Caribbean than.
Yeah.
Although I would love to go to Alaska
right.
sometime. So.
But I don't think I would spend it completely away from town.
Yeah.
I think I would want to spend some of that time where I could just completely devote to the projects here.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I believe that.
I mean, and I would go on vacation. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but
All right, that's cool.
I'd split it up.
So do you watch a city council meeting live every week when
Well,
it's on?
I
Do you
do.
watch
As
it?
a matter of fact, I do. I'll either have it on my phone if I'm on the road,
Okay.
or I'll turn my laptop on, and sometimes it's just for the purpose of see when they go into executive session.
Yeah.
And so when it pops back up, I can look at Mike's face and think, how's he going to come home?
Do you ever like disagree with that vote? Like, darn it, Mike. I would have totally voted no on that.
No,
You guys
he's
agree
pretty
well.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll have to be a whole nother episode when we talk about the stray cats in Perry. So.
Oh, okay. I've got some right behind where I'm living over there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, last question. You said Caribbean, so it led into my
Right.
question. Have you ever been to Jamaica?
I've never been to Jamaica.
Yeah.
I've only been to Cancun, and that was
Okay.
in high school for the Spanish trip. So,
Okay.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're all nice and tan and dark, and I'm white.
I know it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not
It's
fair.
not fair. Oh, I've got Indian
There you go.
blood in me.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. It's either Cherokee or Creek, but
Right.
so yeah,
That helps.
we're gonna blame it. We're
Yeah.
gonna cause some of that on that.
Right. I've just got the blue eye fair skin. So.
That's right. Well,
But-
thank you for
You bet.
coming on today.
And one
hopefully-
thing, real quick, I got a
Yes.
joke for you because
Okay.
I had to overcome Michelle and Misty, and then I wasn't going to rap like Danny Shade. But
Okay.
here's my joke: is
Okay.
here's a real estate brokerage, and another brokerage goes to next door and advertises best agents. Big
Okay.
sign. Another agent goes on the other side and advertises lowest commissions.
Ooh.
So what's the positive way to overcome that? The middle agent put main entrance on her building. So there's always a way to overcome the
That's
negative.
what good realtors are good at, right?
Right.
Staging the property.
That's
to be
right.
Like, we need to go through here.
So, boom, 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 boom.
That's
Like
good.
comedy hour.
That's good. Hey, that's a good idea. We need to have a joke at the end of every episode.
There you go.
Well, Christy, thank you. Or
You bet.
Christina, thank you. I said that I wasn't going to get that messed up. And how do I
It's
do that?
okay.
How do I do that? Oh,
My
gosh,
joke
see?
got you all.
I know. No matter what, I'm going to mess something up. That's a given.
We're human, and that's
That's
okay.
right. Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this today. Maybe if you're not watching it, you can watch this on YouTube, or you might be
Yep.
watching it on Flip This Town right now live on Facebook, and continue to watch Flip This Town. I would encourage you to see more of the live videos and things that that I do. And I have a podcast with my podcast partner, whose name is Christy, who I was
Right.
on the phone with earlier. So that's probably why I got
Right.
the mistake. So thank you guys for tuning in to Perry Live. We'll see you next Thursday, and we're not going to make any mistakes next week. Thanks for tuning in.